The first event in which I have participated was provided in webinar format by PMO Advisory LLP. It is the company which provided project management for other companies. And the speaker is Dr. Te Wu. He's CEO of this company, PMO Advisory. At the same time, he is professor at Montclair State University and Chinese Europe International Business School. The topic of this webinar is managing projects in pandemic. I have chosen this topic because it is interesting and important to know how to manage the projects in new environments such as pandemic situation. As we all know that this COVID-19 situation affected for all fields, as well as for engineering management and project management. First of all, I want to say that Dr. Te Wu is really experienced in this field in project management, and his speech was concise and clear for non-specialists and specialists. Auditory of this event was variable. All participants from different areas like students and employees of this PMO advisor and etc. Because this event was not provided by university. So Q&A session was really interesting because there are a lot of different questions at the same time with follow-up questions. However, there was no opportunity to know the audience interest or audience affection involvement in this Q&A session because all questions was from chat box. However, the Dr. Te Wu handled this Q&A session very well because all his question was fully concise and clear for all audience and participants. So I really enjoyed this event. However, I think Dr. Te Wu, his speech is monotonous, and if he will use more emotional language, his voice will be more emotional. This webinar will be much more interesting to listen. Second event in which I have participated was provided by International Institute for Learning. It is the platform for with different webinars. The speaker was Mark Lyons. He's author of several books about discipline agility with 25 years experience in project management in different companies. Topic was about optimizing your business agility by choosing your way of working. Agility is the flexible management and often used in project management and engineering management. I think that this fundamental knowledge will be helpful during study process in master program. I think that this webinar was really interesting because of the speaker, his gestures, his emotions, facial expressions, and his speech was really amazing. I really liked and think that he did a great job. And participants was from different universities and companies, students and specialists. It was really interesting that and you know that all participants are interested and involved in this topic. At the end of the event, there was Q&A session. audience was actively participated. Speaker handled their Q&A session very well, and his answers was concise. He fully answered for all questions. There are different follow-up questions from audience, and I really liked the overall topic and Q&A session. The third event in which I have participated was about project, program, and portfolio management. This event was recorded. I have watched the record of this webinar, which was provided by 10Step. It is the platform for project management. And the speaker was president of this 10Step organization. His name is Tom Mokel, and he has experience in project management more than 20 years. So first of all, this webinar was about difference between project management, program management, and portfolio management. I was really curious because I didn't know that there is some different types of management as project, program, and portfolio. So I think in the future, it will be really useful for me to know the difference, because as it was clear in the webinar, some specialist who is working currently in the different companies don't know the difference. So it will be useful for me in the future when I will be employed by some companies. And I really liked that during the presentation at the end of the webinar, there was little quizzes about the difference between project, program, and portfolio management. And there were different cases for audience, and audience choose which cases is related with project management or portfolio management, and etc. I liked it because by these quizzes, speaker involved audience more in the information, more in this webinar. However, at the end of this webinar, there wasn't any Q&A session. I think that it could be really useful for audience. However, the moderator of this webinar said that they are open for question. They have email, and they are open to receive any questions by audience and participants. So I think that another point that I didn't like about this presentation was that I didn't see the face of speakers. So his gestures, his facial emotions wasn't clear for me. However, by his voice, his speech was concise, his pronunciation and the tone, the flow of the speech was really good. He did a great job, in my opinion. So I really like this presentation.
The events that we participated together for ICT 7.2 task is from our school, the School of Engineering and the Digital Sciences. We have got the email about this event and decided to choose this one. The name of the event is Transforming Electronics, Photonics, and Biomedical Research by Nanofabrication. The speaker of this event is Professor Jiuling Li from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, which is located at the University of Illinois. And the moderator was Professor Nurhat Nuraji from the Department of Chemical and Material Engineering at the Nazarbayev University. So there were many participants in this event, and I noticed that Provost of Nazarbayev University was participated, also other teachers. So how do you think, Alima, is it useful for you in general? Was it useful?
Okay, thank you, Mulder. First of all, this presentation was really great. The format of in format of webinar, and the speech of Professor Lee was really clear, concise, and it was understandable for us, for non-professional in this area. However, this kind of information about biomedical research, it is not like linked with my specialty at all, but overall information was really interesting for me as for engineer to know about new technologies in biomedical engineering and researches which has done in University of Illinois. Useful for me as not as engineering management student, but overall as a student of engineering area. What do you think about it?
Okay, thank you for your opinions. So, in general, this is related to the engineering. So, but not specifically to my field. So this I forgot to mention the type of this event is lecture. And what about the topic? It was so narrow, and in some part it was I cannot understand the content fully. So just in some cases. So in the lecture, the Professor Lee explained her research interests and the approaches. Also, this speaker, I think that the speaker coped well with her task and answered for questions of the participants, who is also teachers. I liked her performance in general.
Yes, about Q&A session, I think Professor Lee did a great job in Q&A session because her answers were was clear. And I agree that in some cases this topic was too narrow for non-specialists, and it was difficult to answer appropriate question for professor, and most questions was from Nazarbayev University professors for our teachers. So and I think that Q&A session was difficult for students but interesting for teachers.
I also agree with you. So
it's also need to be mentioned that there were a lot of students from Nazarbayev University, not only teachers. In webinar participated only around 50 people. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. If I
really
remember the number of participants was almost 50.
Yeah.
So that is the end of our conversation. Thank you, Halima.
Thank you, Mulder.
It is the end of the video about ICT 7.2. In conclusion, I want to say that for me, the best speaker was Mark Lyons, because as I already said, his verbal and non-verbal communication tools was amazing. I really like the flow, the tone of voice, his speech, how he keep eye contact, use gestures during his webinar, so I really enjoyed it. But I think it's kind of biased because of the situation. I didn't see the face of Dr. Wu and President Tom Mokle from 10 Step. So I think that because of this situation, I didn't evaluate their speakers' abilities as I was able to evaluate Michael Lyons' speech. So in terms of information, for me was really interesting the webinar about project, program and portfolio management, because I didn't know that there are any difference between these terms, and I think in the future I will be use this information in during master program. So about my abilities during this task, time management was improved because after watching the webinar and analyzing, I've made different videos because it was kind of hard for me in the first semester to do one long video for all webinars. In this semester, I did I chose another way, so it was much more easy for me to handle it in time. So, and about their abilities of which was improved, I think it is that I analyze information from webinars easier and faster than in first semester. And I really enjoyed all 4 webinars, and thank you for my partner, Mulder. So thank you for your attention and watching this video.